have an announcement. This is the last episode of Becoming Obsessed in 2025. Yes, I am going to take a break for Q4, not record any new episodes, and let Becoming Obsessed sit on the back of my mind while I really focus on being a co-founder. I don't know how much I've talked about this or mentioned this, but I know I've shared the story that I actually started in the online and creative business spaces as an intern with the Creative Law Shop. I've been with them for 9 years, working with Paige Hulse, who, go listen to her episode. I think she was episode 2, my second guest ever on the pod. And we share a little bit of the story of my journey from intern to virtual assistant to CMO, COO, and now co-founder of the Creative Law Foundry. And the truth is, what we are building is going to be a multi-million-dollar platform. And you can't treat that like a side hobby. It's not a little side hustle. And it does need more time from me right now in this season. It's where I want to spend more of my energy and more of my time. I heard this quote recently. I was listening to an episode of Nathan Barry's podcast with Dan Martell, and one of them said, it's better to hire employees or full-time contractors, whatever the logistics are, than to just have a lot of part-time contractors all doing different parts. Because if you employ somebody 50% of the time, you get 25% of their focus. And that is a lesson that I am learning again in my own life. It often feels like I have 1,000, but multiple businesses, that I'm wearing too many hats for too many things in too many places. And I'm in a season where I really want to put my focus, my energy, my attention, and be laser focused on one thing at a time, or two things at a time, if we're being really honest. I, for a while, was doing many things well enough. And that's not good enough for me right now. I want to do very limited things very well, very successfully. And the truth is, building a SaaS, building a tech platform, especially with AI components, I'm failing daily, which I actually wear as a badge of honor, because it means that I'm doing things every single day that are so hard, I can't possibly get them right the first time. But it does take a lot of energy. It takes so much of my thought process. And it means that I'm not able to give that energy to Becoming Obsessed in this season. And I have some really big plans that I have been wanting to implement for basically this entire year for Becoming Obsessed. And instead of shutting myself to be better, shutting myself to do more than what I have shown I'm capable of doing in this season, I'm being more strategic. I'm accepting the limitations that I have, and I'm making choices based on that. I don't really want to stop doing Becoming Obsessed ever. And once I made the decision to hit pause, take a break from seasons, if you will, in Q4 of 2025, I've actually gotten more podcast pitches of guests that I would love to have on, and it's really opened up space to dream again. So I'm sure I will have many more updates in Q2 of 2026. Here's what I know right now. I'm in week 3 of an 8-week sprint to end the year as strong as possible for my current clients and for the Creative Law Shop, Creative Law Foundry. I am not onboarding any new clients this year, and I am not doing anything else for the podcast in this season. In Q1, probably January 1st, I'm going to revisit the podcast and create a plan. And yeah, it's going to be based on how Q4 goes. Where am I at with the other things that need my focus right now? Will I continue to need to focus there? My hope is that I'll have a little bit of a some things in place, some team in place, and be in a little bit of a different position where I can be more strategic and efficient across the board. But in Q1, I'm going to revisit Becoming Obsessed. I have plans for the Becoming Obsessed playground, which I've been teasing for way too long now. And I really want to focus on bringing all that together before I relaunch the new season, the new whatever the heck it is. Just restart recording and posting episodes. And it's funny because when we make decisions like this, it can feel like that's a long time. Right now, it's like, man, it's October and I'm not doing anything for the podcast till January. And even then, I'm just going to think about and strategize what I am capable of bringing into an existence in that next couple quarters. But in reality, that 90 days is going to fly by so quick. I always come back to that quote that we always overestimate what we can do in 1 year and underestimate what we can do in 10. I think about that a lot. Now, a little request and ask. If you are not already, go follow the Creative Law Shop and watch the journey that we're going on. Join the newsletter. Go to shopcreativelaw.com. We have a free resource page. Get any freebie on that page. You'll get on the newsletter and you'll get the founders newsletter, the founder updates from Paige and I. And you can watch in real time us turn a contract template shop into a SaaS platform. We're very transparent about how it's going. We're over halfway through a 6-month contract with our developers, and that's just the beginning. But that's where we can keep up until I'm back at Becoming Obsessed. And before I hit pause for good, I have one more episode for you. It's this episode. It's what's about to play. And I think it's more important than ever that we really think about exactly what we're consuming and what we're allowing to speak into our lives and where we're adding and taking energy. All right, y'all, let's get into it. Ready for another hard lesson that we have to fully learn and embody and take responsibility for if we want to love the life that we live? What you consume consumes you. And this isn't a new, I almost want to say proverb. Like, I feel like I have these little sayings, and I often say, if you are what you eat, you are what you listen to. But lately it feels like more than being what you're listening to and subscribing to, it can feel all-consuming. It can really be that little earworm that gets into your thoughts. And especially with the political climate of September 2025, those little earworms come with a lot of emotion. And they're actually coming with a lot of anger, feelings of vengeance, maybe, for some of us. You are what you consume. I just spent a month in Italy. I was not in the US for the Charlie Kirk shooting. And so I was a few days late to the drama because I just wasn't on my phone as much. And then once I did learn about it, I actively stayed off my phone a bit more, stayed off social, tried to be present in the moment. And also, when you are out doing stuff all day, working all night, there's just less time. There was less time for me to be on my phone. But getting back to the US, it's hard to turn on any media and not see coverage and, more importantly, see opinions of people that you know or look up to. And at least the people who are talking about it tend to have an opinion and are taking a side. Whether you agree with it or not, you might be taking a side. And it can feel like everyone else cares about this one single event and is consumed by it. And that's how I felt. I was confused why this one thing was all consuming. And then because I was consuming more content about it, it was hard for me not to think about it more. And I'm not going to share any, specifics about what I think about it because I just don't know enough. I actually never really heard of Charlie Kirk before, and the media that I get fed is about him saying things I don't agree with. And yet people that I admire him. And I've done a little bit of research, but at the end of the day, knowing everything he said isn't going to change anything. It's just going to make it more consuming for me and keep me from doing more productive things. And here's what I do believe, and I will say very clearly, nothing you see on media is by accident. The algorithms, the echo chambers, there are so many case studies of if you are a teenage boy, and some studies even say, like with a white-facing name, you will start to get red pill content. You will start to get content that I don't agree with without ever clicking on anything. None of that is by accident. The media is owned by somebody. Somebody is making decisions on the algorithm and what we see. And especially when something so divisive happens, it's hard for me to accept, believe, even pretend that the divisiveness is by accident. So there's two things here. One, we're getting a little political because it's literally impossible to stay disconnected in the world we live in right now. And I just want us, before we post, before we comment, before we judge and unfollow, to take a step back and ask who is benefiting from the division? Who is benefiting from me and you fighting? And it might not make sense. What benefit is there? I have strong opinions on that as well. But I just feel it in my own bones. Somebody makes a post and I just disagree so strongly. And one of my first thoughts is, how are you so stupid? And they're not. We're all just seeing one side of the picture. And once you see one side, it's kind of hard to go give the other side a chance, but you have to actively do that. And the hard part is, honestly, seeing both sides on this issue, I think has been tough. But I have to remind myself that these individuals that I know that are posting, they're posting off of what they're consuming and what they're seeing. And they are probably in an echo chamber different than mine, because that's what social media is. And if you've never thought about who controls the media before, there's this joke that I kind of love that my partner told me. And it was a US and a Russian ambassador went out to get a drink. And the US ambassador said, "Man, you guys really do propaganda well in Russia. Like, what are your secrets? How do you do it?" And the Russian ambassador said, "Wow, yeah, thank you. But we've got nothing on you in the US. Your propaganda is next level." And the US ambassador said, "What propaganda?" Oh gosh. I'm going to leave the political talk aside now. I had to say something because we are here to build a life that we love. And we can't do that if everyone else around us is miserable. And lately it's feeling a little bit like a lot of people are unhappy. And I just want to keep in mind and consider and control who I am actually unhappy at and with, and not target the individual neighbors that are posting based on what they know and what they believe and what their echo chamber and media is telling them. And I say that fully knowing that I am in my own echo chambers. I don't think that one side of the echo chamber is better than another. I think they are both dangerous. And I also think that when we actually talk to each other, we have a lot more in common on what we actually want to see, what we hope for. We're just being packaged and sold the ideas in different ways. Okay, what you consume is consuming you. I talked about this a little bit in a previous solo episode, but when I was getting ready for my month in Italy, oh my gosh, I can't believe how influenced I was, how I was like searching for every answer on everything. What do I wear? How do I pack? Where am I going? And yeah, I knew that once I get there, it'll all fall into place. And I think it came from a place of excitement. I was so ready to be there that I was being there the only way I could and consuming content. But I did it to a point where I was stressed out, which saying out loud seems so silly, that I was so stressed out about how to pack, one carry-on and one backpack for a whole month and wanting to shop and bring all that back. It is a little stressful, but I was so consumed with not having this one specific piece that I thought I would need so that I could make these outfits. I have more than enough to take and make good outfits and pieces I can rewear, but I was getting stressed about it. And the funny thing is, the only reason an outfit mattered while I was there was one, to be appropriate to go into churches and the basilica, and the other reason is content. To take photos, to look good so that I could post whatever the heck. And a lot of people before I left and that I talked to while I was gone said they were living through my content, right? They were so excited to see it. They loved seeing it. And those people don't care what I'm wearing. They don't care if it's some Pinterest perfect influencer approved outfit. And when I am traveling, I don't care either. I like my style. I like taking 5 minutes to pick an outfit in the morning and having it not be this big to do, especially when you're exhausted. But I was becoming so consumed with the media and the content I was consuming. And this is a lesson I learn over and over and over again. I can't tell you how many times I will literally have this same chat with myself. But this is not something that is going to be the only time we talk about this. What I've been doing, which is just, I feel like it's also cyclical and hormonal, but I just feel like so many times throughout the year, I go into a hole and I come out and the world looks beautiful and green again. Going into social media more and more and more, playing games on my phone. I've been playing a few games that are almost like a fidget spinner just to keep me off of social media. And that was a good way to wean off my phone more, I will admit. But doing those things keeps my head looking at a little black hole. I'm consuming things from a screen consistently, constantly. So this is what I've done to get out of that screen black hole. And this is something I started in 2020, and I read like 20 books. I'm now keeping a book with me at all times. And when I want to pick up my phone, I pick up the book. A lot of times when I am working and pick up my phone, it is purely as a distraction. Sometimes it's for work. And forcing myself to actually think about what I'm picking up helps me to get the piece of work done or the piece of information I need so I can put the phone back down and get back to work instead of getting stuck in a doom spiral, scroll, gameplay, whatever the heck it was going to be. But when I am craving that distraction, picking up a book gives me a lot less of a dopamine hit. And often, reading a page or two out of the books I'm reading helps me get back on track. I will say, if you're in the middle of some fiction fantasy, it might not help you get back on track. But I have been mostly reading business books or books that you can read in snippets, like Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell or Rick Rubin's book, A Way of Being. Both of those books, when I'm reading them, I'm envisioning the life I want to have. So they help me get back to it. Okay, I need to get back to work in working hours. Okay, I need to stay off social media. It's not helping me. What you consume, is it consuming you? How often are you thinking about what you've been consuming instead of your own dreams, life, goals, friendships, possibilities? Here's a funny one for you. I actually was in the middle of taking a shower when I turned it off to hit play on this because I have gone running 3 days since I've been back. I have not even been back in the US for a week. It is Wednesday. I got back last Thursday and I have gone on 3 runs and I have mostly kept my step count up. I'm still doing pretty good on the month. And I'm going on runs with nothing in my ears. Literally just me and my thoughts. And then because I did that, I came back, I did a few barbell or dumbbell things like for 5 minutes. Seems silly, honestly. But I did that instead of picking up my phone because I was already feeling that good workout energy. And then I got in the shower and I was way more aware of my muscles, washing my hair, contracting my abs to kind of secure my back. And I just love that that is what my brain was consumed with. Because I was running and working out more, even just for a few days, even just a mile a day, my thoughts are now consumed with my muscles, keeping them safe. How do they feel? How do I get stronger? Should I increase my pace? How long should I just build the muscle of getting out there in the morning? Instead of whatever the hell is happening on social media. One last thing I'll say about this, because I have been thinking about it a lot. There's an influencer that I adore, and she really built her following on one message, I will say, and putting this one message into the world and kind of counterbalancing what everybody else was doing on social media. And lately, she kind of seems to be doing what everybody else is doing on social media. And it's noticeable. And it just makes me think, when I show up on social, am I counterbalancing the things I don't like about social media? Or am I doing what everybody else is doing that I don't like? Just food for thought. Anyway, I need to go wash this conditioner out of my hair and get to 1 million cups. We'll talk soon. Love you. Let's go get obsessed.